Hola! So today's video is about pizza verbs. They're irregular verbs in the preterite tense. I like to call them pizza verbs, and I am going to show you why. The learning objectives are that you're able to conjugate irregular verbs in the preterite tense, including ones that share the pizza format. So most of the ones that you're going to see today are what I call pizza verbs, but we're actually going to look at a couple of other ones too. So here's what a pizza verb is. Some verbs, when they're irregular, will follow a pattern, like we saw the shoe verbs did last quarter in Spanish 121. In the preterite tense, or the past tense, the verbs that are irregular a lot of times will follow this pattern that I call pizza pattern, where you change the spelling of the root. For example, the verb poder changes to pud, poner changes to pus, saber changes to soup, and so on and so forth. You can read all of the ways that each verb changes the spelling in the stem, or the root of the verb, and then you add the different endings. These are the pizza endings. Iste, o, imos, isteis, hieron. And you can see that I drew a big fat triangle over the endings of the verbs that looks like a slice of pizza, hence the name pizza verbs. And the reason that's there is to show you that all of the endings inside of the slice of pizza are the ER and IR endings in the preterite tense. If you remember, they were iste, io, imos, isteis, hieron. So all of the endings that are inside of the slice of pizza are ER and IR endings. The two endings that are outside of the slice of pizza, the yo and then the LA usted form, are the AR endings. So aste, o, amos, asteis, aron. So the yo ending and the LA usted ending are from the AR verb endings in the preterite tense. And inside the pizza, the tú, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, and ustedes forms are all from the ER and IR verbs in the preterite tense. So the triangle is just like an image to help you remember that the endings on the inside are from ER and IR, and the endings on the outside are from AR. So that's why they earned the name pizza verbs. So let's see what they look like. The verb poder, manage to. Here's what it looks like with the endings. Yo pude, tú pudiste, él, ella, und usted pudo. Nosotros pudimos, vosotros pudisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes pudieron. So that's how you conjugate these. This slideshow will actually take you through the conjugations of all of the ones that are in the textbook. I'm not going to read them all to you, but I will post the slideshow up on Canvas so that you have access and you can see how each of these change. Tener and estar in the past tense have exactly the same conjugation. Tener is tuve, tuviste, tuvo, tuvimos, tuvisteis, and tuvieron. Estar looks exactly the same, except it's got the S in front of it. Estuve, estuviste, estuvo, estuvimos, estuvisteis, and estuvieron. So dar in the preterite tense is also irregular, but it's not a pizza verb. It's an AR verb, dar, with all ER and IR endings. So this one is not a pizza verb, but it is irregular. Di, diste, dio, dimos, disteis, dieron. Now here is something a little bit funky. The two verbs ir and ser both mean two very different things. Ir means to go, and ser, as you know, means to be. In the past, ir is, to go is went, and to be is was. And these are not pizza verbs. Does something even weirder. They both have the same exact conjugation in the past tense. So here's what it looks like fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fuisteis, fueron. And yo fui, for example, can mean I went or I was. It's the same word that can have two totally different meanings. So how would we know which one was meant? Well, by the context. If I said, yo fui a la escuela, it doesn't mean I was to the school. It was I went to the school. And if I said, tú fuiste un buen estudiante, you were a good student, not you went a good student. So it is pretty easy to tell using the context which one which meaning you are trying to use, but you do need a context to put it in because the same exact word has two very different meanings. So now it's time to check yourself. Can you conjugate irregular verbs in the preterite tense? And do you know what a pizza verb is and why we call it that? Or why I call it that? You may never ever find another Spanish teacher that calls it that, but why do I call it that? So hopefully you can answer those and have a great